For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Well, hope everybody has a great start to the week. It's your Monday morning power play episode of Mammoth Daily. Mike Fulta and Adrian Denny here with you. We are your Hockey Night in Utah radio crew. AD, Mammoth coming off of a 3-2 loss at the hands of the third place Dallas Stars in the Central Division. And then tonight have a tilt against the Vancouver Canucks, a team that's in last place, not just in their own division, not just in the Western Conference, but in the entire National Hockey League. So a great chance for the Mammoth to bounce back tonight. But first, just a little weekend check-in with you. AD, how was your Sunday? Getting ready to go here for last couple games before we break for the Olympics. How's everything with you in your world?
Good, Mike. You know, we were all getting ready for practice on Sunday, and then got the text that they weren't going to practice, and it was, you know, kind of going along the same lines of something I was thinking after the game. You know, we do the broadcast, we do Hockey Night in Utah post game, and then on the drive home, you kind of unpack the rest of it, and that's usually what turns into Mammoth Daily for the next day. But with no show on a Sunday, and then getting that text, no practice on Sunday, Mike, that game on Saturday was Utah's fifth game in 8 nights in their fifth different city, and lots of travel and coming back. And we've heard Bear reference that first home game back can kind of be tough to get settled. So that was one thing, and didn't necessarily want to bring it up on post-game show because I have family and they care about me, and they don't like it when I'll bring something up and people are like, stop talking about the schedule. But as we watched the game and the 2 delay of game penalties early, we felt the guys were ready to go on Saturday. We felt high energy. We felt excitement for another contest with Dallas, and we knew Dallas was going to come out and want to get one back on the Mammoth, who had just beaten them 2 weeks ago. And then we got the word no practice Sunday, and I'm kind of thinking along the same lines, like, yeah, maybe a good day for a break, because you see the schedule, Mike, you're thinking, all right, we got games Monday, Wednesday, and then we're off for the Olympic break. Good day on Sunday to work on special teams, maybe, right?
Right.
And then you take the temperature, you evaluate, you talk to the performance staff. There's like, might be a good day for a day off to stay off of the ice for the Mammoth. So that's what happened Sunday, and back at it tonight with the Vancouver Canucks, a team that has struggled, to be direct. They did have a shutout against the Anaheim Ducks, 2-0 on Thursday. Nikita Tolopilo has been great in between the pipes for him, with Thatcher Demko out for the season. But getting back to that Dallas game, Mike, analytically, it might have been Utah's worst game all year analytically in terms of expected goals for against. It was 5.1 to 1.82 in favor of Dallas in that game. The money puck deserve a win-a-meter was 83.2% in favor
Not the deserve a win-a-meter.
Yeah. Was 83.2% in favor of the Dallas Stars, yet it was a 1-goal game, Mike. And you look at some big saves that Casey DeSmith made. I thought he robbed JJ Peterka. I thought he robbed Nick Schmaltz a couple times. It was a game where you didn't get an official shot from Dylan Gunther, but he had a couple looks. Like, those metrics, and you're in a 1-goal game after being down 2-0 7 minutes in. I think it shows more of the body of the work of the Mammoth, that, you know, they're in these things even when they're not.
Yeah, they were dramatically outplayed. You said 5-something to 1-something in expected goals. I saw some Sport Logic numbers that were more like in the 3.5 to 1.5 range, but still you're getting doubled up in that category, right? The Mammoth were getting doubled up in shots, and head coach Andre Turney said as much in his postgame. Look, Dallas played really well. Utah did not have much, in Bears' words, didn't have much throughout the game. Didn't have much offensively, certainly, but Dallas played really well. And And Bear talked about special teams. They have to give you a chance to win. And they don't always have to be the story of the night, but they have to give you a chance. And the Mammoth special teams let them down against the Stars and didn't give them a chance to win. When you give up 2 power play goals in the first 8 minutes of the game, and then fail to score on your power play opportunities, like that's not really giving you a chance to win. Now, the Mammoth did outscore Dallas 2-1 at 5-on-5. They've done that for a couple games now, where Utah has been the better team at 5-on-5 and lost the game. And unfortunately, the power plays exist for a reason. They're there to reward teams that draw penalties, and Dallas didn't exactly draw a couple to start, but Mammoth just failed to execute. And that was that. One thing on the schedule, AD, and this isn't as much actually a couple things on the schedule, but the first thing I want to get to is the Mammoth after road trips have been staying over more recently. I don't have the exact numbers on this, but and this affects us a lot because we're trying to record Mammoth Daily half the time. But like when we lost to Carolina on Thursday, we didn't fly out Thursday night like we did pretty much every trip last year and for a lot of trips this year. And so I don't know if this is going on around the league or if this is Mammoth specific. But for the first time the last few trips, we've been staying over at a place and then flying back the next day. So what that means is that, okay, you play on Saturday, but you're not getting back to Salt Lake City until like 4:00 basically on Friday. So your whole day Friday is kind of shot. For us on the media side, like we can work on the plane and do whatever. It's not the end of the world. But it's supposed to help the players' sleep schedules and stuff like that, from my understanding. But it is a little different. You know, you come back you're home for a few hours, basically. You go to bed, you wake up the next day, and you got a game. So it is a little different as opposed to what we had before, where, you know, you would fly back right after the game. And yeah, you might get in at 3:00 in the morning, but at least, you know, you can sleep in a little bit and have most of the day to do something. So just something to consider as well in this crazy Olympic condensed schedule, where there's a lot of coming and going, like what you're saying, AD. But anything else on Dallas before we move on to tonight and focus on Vancouver?
I mean, you looked at those 5 games in 9 nights, Mike, and 3 of them were against 5 of the top teams in the NHL. The other one was a Stanley Cup champion, and the other one was a division tilt. It was a gauntlet of a week, CNHL. But yeah, Mike, Dallas is a team that's been in the top 5 all year. You've played 3 1-goal games against them. You beat them once, and you knew they were going to push back. I thought in the first period, the Mammoth had the opportunity to get it back on the power play. You and I watched that goal that they challenged and thought it was an ill-advised challenge. It put Utah on the power play with a chance to tie it up just like that after they made it 2-1. And then the leg-to-leg hit on Brandon Tanev from Mikko Rantanen that the Mammoth didn't care for. That's another penalty that, you know, it's not just your typical, you know, whatever. Like that's something that's going to wake up the bench. Kind of like when you score a goal and you're back on the power play with a chance to tie it up. So those first period special teams were really a big difference in the game. And even so, you had a chance, you know, to pull that goalie again. And it's a face-off circle with the extra attacker. You couldn't get possession of the puck 6-on-5, and Dallas won almost 60% of the draws in that game, and it pushed through to the final couple minutes. So as we pick and choose at things, it was a 1-goal game in the NHL, as Bear always tells us. You know, they play their game, we play our game. We're gonna have a 1-goal game and a chance to win. Except I don't think the Mammoth for 60 were on their game, but
no,
they stuck with it. They kept going 5-on-5. They had some good spurts of rolling the lines. We'll talk about it on the Monday morning power play. I liked the lines that Utah put together with the pair from the Yamamoto, Hayton, and Peterka line. But we'll get into it all coming up. Top 5 stories of the week, the Monday morning power play. But yeah, 3-2 loss to Dallas, but fun game Saturday night. Just hoped you'd win. You
Yeah.
you wanted to win it. Mammoth had been great responding. Didn't get it. So on to Vancouver tonight.
Yeah, Dallas, the better team, and you were touching on all the good teams that the Mammoth have played recently. So I wrote it out, and this is kind of what you said. So you got 3 top 5 teams in a 4-game span. With Detroit coming up, it's 4 top 6 teams in a 6-game span. So it is Vancouver tonight. They're the worst team in the NHL points wise. But at the end of the homestand is another really good Detroit team. I know that they're coming off a pretty bad loss against Colorado, but they've been good for most of the year. Want to get to Vancouver a little bit here, AD. Not a ton to delve into, but should do the Canucks some justice here and set the table for tonight. 42 points, last place in the National Hockey League, tied for the worst goal differential. They have come out and said, AD, that they're starting the rebuild, and it's something that they've kind of put off for a couple years now. But it seems like the walls are coming down in Canuck land, and I think the consensus around the league is that this team is going to be pretty busy coming up on the March 6th trade deadline.
Yeah, 7-14-3 since they traded Quinn Hughes to Minnesota. A bumpy January, 2-11-3. They did finish with 3 points in their last 2 games. Shut out the Anaheim Ducks on Thursday by a count of 2-0. The second goal was an empty netter. Lost in a shootout to Toronto on Saturday as the Leafs snapped their 6-game winless skid. Nikita Tolopilo has been doing it between the pipes. One of their AHL goalies with Thatcher Demko out. How about this for how the season's going for the Vancouver Canucks, Mike? So he gets 32 saves on Thursday. They get the 2-0 shutout win, but he doesn't get a shutout because he was in concussion protocol for 2 minutes and 11 seconds and had to leave the game. So he doesn't get the shutout. Stopped 39-41 against the Leafs. They fall in a shootout. But they've kind of hung tough in their last couple games. Now they're starting a 2-game trip before the Olympics. It'll take Salt Lake to Vegas, as we'll see Detroit coming from Colorado on Wednesday to wrap things up. But let's do it. It's an implied win. It's an implied win for the Mammoth.
Wow, getting the implied win stamp.
Yeah, I'm giving it an implied win. It's implied. It doesn't mean it's 100% sure thing, but
wow,
it's implied. You're 4-0 all time against the Canucks, outscored them 12-5, beat them 4-1 there. December 5th, that was the game that the Logan Cooley got hurt in that collision with Quinn Hughes. So,
collision with the post.
With the post, as Hughes was hustling back on D.
Now that game was 4-1, but like the final score does not depict the way that went. That was a game where Vancouver, I would say, was the better team at 5-on-5. They outshot Utah 33-18 in that game. Mammoth got a power play goal in the first, and then they had an empty netter late to put it away. But Karel Vejmelka turned in one of his best performances of the year in that game right there. That was a couple nights after he had shut out Anaheim. If you remember, he comes back, he gets benched in San Jose or gets pulled from the game, then comes back and shuts out Anaheim, and then has this game against Vancouver. So this win for the Mammoth was Vejmelka's kind of second game in what has been a really strong stretch for him since the start of December. But this was a close game, and Vancouver was really good in this game up in BC. So don't let the 4-1 final stat line fool you.
Yeah, Mammoth were outshot 33-18 in that game, and all the money puck stuff we gave you at the top of the show on the Dallas-Utah game was favoring Vancouver in that game. It was a contest that afterwards head coach Adam Foote was actually pretty pleased with how the Canucks had played. And Mike, you always say that, every team in the NHL is going to have a 3-4, 5-game winning streak, point streak at some point during the season. They're on a 2-game unbeaten streak right now, finishing the homestand strong. And it felt like folks in Vancouver, Mike, They were happy to win a game. After the game, as it ended on Thursday night against the Ducks, they're chanting, "We want the cup!" Like kind of embracing the rebuild situation they're in. It didn't sound caustic. It didn't sound like Bronx cheer stuff. It sounded like the fans were supporting them with some positive energy in those two games before they wrapped up at home and before they hit the road.
Yeah, and there's still a bunch of good players on this team too, and Elias Pettersson chiefly among them. He leads the team, 34 points on the year. Really good two-way forward for Vancouver. They traded away Kiefer Sherwood, who was injured at the time, but he had been one of their impact players, had been their leading goal scorer, still is their leading goal scorer with 17 goals. The next closest has 13. That's Pettersson and DeBrusque. I think Linus Karlsson's a good young player. Was I think a second or a third round draft pick by them a couple years ago, and clearly looks like he belongs in the NHL. Little smaller, but skilled. They still have guys like Evander Kane, Philip Hronek on the back end is a big burly defenseman, and you mentioned Tolopilov, the goaltender who's been playing well. He was in the AHL with Abbotsford and had a decent start to the year with them, but he also helped them win a Calder Cup last year. So you'll see a lot of guys on this Vancouver team that were playing with the Abbotsford Canucks either last year or earlier this season. They have had some injuries, but it's a game the Mammoth on paper should win, and we know that when we say that in the NHL, usually that means we're in for some intrigue. But it's a great opportunity to stop a little miniature 2-game slide here and get back on track. These are the games that AD, you have to win, considering where you are in the standings and considering where everybody else is. Everybody else is looking at your schedule and saying, oh, the Mammoth are going to win here, so we have to pick up 2 points somewhere else. These are the ones that you have to make good on.
Yeah, and the Vancouver Canucks, talk about the tumble that they've taken 2 years ago. 100-plus points, second round of the playoffs, almost beat Edmonton. And then whatever happened with getting along in the locker room with JT Miller, who got shipped to New York. Quinn Hughes gets sent to Minnesota, and all of a sudden, less than 2 years after that, they're in a full-on whatever they're doing, a retool, a rebuild, a refurbish. But Utah looked to take advantage of it tonight and just go out and jump on them. Not a great night to fall behind again, Mike. Let's put an end to this here.
Yeah, first period's been tricky, kind of out of nowhere. But some really slow starts for the Mammoth. Part of that's been penalties. Part of it's just been not getting out of the block on time.
Yeah, let's lead this one from tape to tape, like against Ottawa, like against St. Louis, like against Toronto. Right, let's cut the catch up here from Seattle, Philly, Nashville, Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Dallas.
I'm with you. I'm co-signing that, but I'm also going to send us to our Monday morning power play is after we set up Vancouver in the game tonight. Second of a 3-game homestand for the Utah Mammoth. AD, let's get to our next segment here. 5 biggest storylines of the week for the Mountain Blue. That's coming up next here on Mammoth Daily.
Get ready for the Monday morning power play.
Opening up your Monday morning power play, we've got the 5 biggest storylines for the Utah Mammoth this week as we work it around the ozone here on PP1, as that's where me and Adrian like to do our damage on the power play. We are worthless at 5-on-5. We are special teams assassins. But special teams is going to be the number one story for this upcoming week for the Utah Mammoth. Andre Tourigny was talking about it in his postgame after the loss against Dallas. Special teams let the team down against the Stars. You give up 2 power play goals. Mammoth have now given up multiple power play goals in 4 of their last 6 games. The Mammoth have scored 2 power play goals themselves twice all year. Utah has the league's worst power play, and the penalty kill has been trending down. And even though the team's 5-on-5 numbers are really good, special teams need to kind of come back to level a little bit here. Dylan Guenther leads the team with 5 power play goals. For the Dallas Stars, the other night. Wyatt Johnston now has 18 on the year, more than 3 times what the Mammoth leader has. You're talking about the schedule, AD, and all the good teams the Mammoth have been playing. Tampa Bay, Carolina, Dallas over the last week. Mammoth have given up multiple power play goals in all of those games, and that's been the difference in all of those games. Utah right now has the 4th worst combined special teams in the NHL. So you take your power play number, you take your penalty kill number, and you add them together. You want it to be, around 100 or so. That would be maybe a little above 100 would be good. But that 80% on the PK, 20% on the power play. That's kind of middle of the pack, right? Utah has the 4th worst combined power play and penalty kill percentage. Only Vancouver, worst team in the league. St. Louis, also near the bottom, and LA, team on the outside looking in right now. Those are the only 3 teams with worse combined special teams than Utah. We've complimented the PK a lot this year. It's let the team down a little bit here recently. The power play has been struggling, and Mammoth are going to have to figure those 2 areas out.
Yeah, penalty kill was 5, 6, 7 in the NHL through November. Top 10 at Christmas, and it's taken a bit of a slide, Mike. Part of that's taking a lot of penalties. 4 straight games, 5 times in the last 6. Utah's gone shorthanded 4 times or more. In their last 5 losses, they have lost special teams. They're 14-6-1 when they get a power play goal. They've been able to win games by not winning special teams, but they've lost games by losing special teams, and it's been the difference in the contest. And
that was good. That was philosophical.
Well, thank you. Mike, but as we say, every NHL team's going through stuff, right?
Yeah.
John Cooper with the great line on Monday, nobody's going 82-0. The 31st worst power play in the NHL belongs to the Colorado Avalanche, and they've given up 9 shorthanded goals. So you look at that team, like they're working through stuff as well. Everybody's working through stuff. For the Mammoth, hopefully, we're about worked through it, and we can get to that 100, 105 combined percentage on your power play and
don't you feel like it's caught up to Utah? Like the Mammoth in January were winning those games. We had that point streak, and it's not like special teams was good during that stretch. Mm-hmm. And you said it, like they were able to survive it, and now it's kind of caught up to them against these really good teams.
Yeah, as you're playing better teams, right? Teams that can take advantage of it, use that to win. And the biggest issue is, Mike, in all of this is teams that you're competing with use the penalty kill to win games, use their power play to win games, use the 6-on-5 to get standings points, right? And so when you're not keeping up at that level with your special teams and your 6-on-5, it costs you in the big picture in the standings. It seems like we were watching it on Saturday in the Mountain Blue Studios, San Jose Sharks and Calgary Flames, and they took a late penalty, did the Sharks, but freak, it seems like every time they're on the 6-on-5, they score a goal. Like Edmonton Oilers, same thing.
Yeah.
Seems like every time they're on the 6-on-5, they score a goal.
Yeah.
Anytime Macklin Celebrini's on the power play, seems like they score a goal.
Yeah, and Clayton Keller was one of the best power play players in the league last year. His numbers are pretty far down compared to what they were a year ago. So you also have to realize too, teams have adapted to Utah, right? Where in the past maybe you're not paying as much attention to the scouting report of the Utah Hockey Club or the Arizona Coyotes before them, but now with Utah as a contender, you really have to dial in those details, and teams have on the PK against the Mammoth. They know kind of how Utah wants to operate. AD, what's our next storyline here in our Monday morning power play?
Let's go with 7-2 after a loss since December. So Utah's been great at resetting the deck, and it's a new situation with expectations. You expect to win every game. You've gone from wanting to play meaningful games to wanting to stay in that playoff spot and make the playoffs. And Mike, when you're winning, it's harder when you lose. You take the losses harder when you're winning. And you know that this team does, and you know that their fans do. But you look at the body of the work, and it's there, and you sense the confidence coming back from Carolina. It wasn't, like you just lost game 7 of a playoff series in triple overtime, right, Mike, after the Carolina game. It was disappointment after the game, but you're coming back and you got to move on to Saturday. So we've seen the team be quick coming back after a loss. 7-2 is great. Like, that's got to be the best in the NHL after a loss in the last month and a half, or in the top 5. So, but as you get the expectations, it's harder when you lose, but you feel better about the group because they're playing better hockey and they've got that confidence. And gosh, it's not high percentage hockey when you fall behind 2-0 in the first 6 minutes like they have in 2 straight home games, but they've pushed themselves out of it, been able to be in a position to win versus lights out 16 seconds in, right?
Well, one of the guys who was really good on Saturday in that loss against Dallas, and really good the game before against Carolina, have to bring up Kailer Yamamoto. 2 goals the other night against the Stars, 2 goals against the Hurricanes, 4 goals in his last 2 games. He has scored 4 of the team's last 6 goals. He was the team's leading scorer on the road trip. If you remember, he entered the lineup when Lawson Krause was out due to illness for that Nashville game, and got put with Keller and Schmaltz, had a goal and an assist playing with those guys that night, and had multiple multi-point games on the last road trip before coming home, and now has 3 multi-point games in his last 5 outings. Not going to continue to score at this pace. That's unreasonable to expect him to score 2 goals every night. But how does he factor into the lineup, and how does he continue to make an impact is one of the storylines for this team going forward.
Yeah, it's where do you put him at this point, Mike? He's in the lineup, right? When you're a player like that who, you're in and you're out, your mentality is, I got to give them a reason to not take me out, to keep me in. Like, it's got to be a no-brainer. And I think Kailer Yamamoto has kind of gotten to that point. You've heard head coach Andre Tourigny sing his praises in the last couple days, saying that he wins every battle. He goes out and you know what his size is, but he wins every battle, and he's played on 4 forward lines in the last 5 games. The versatility, but I think we can all agree that Kailer Yamamoto is not coming out of the lineup. He's
turned JJ Peterka into a passer.
Yeah.
Right? And JJ said in the postgame, he's getting open, right? Like he's finding space and obviously making good. He scored, get this, 4 goals on his last 5 shots on goal. So not going to continue to score at that pace, but he's getting open and he's in dangerous areas. And he had a couple more chances too.
Yeah, he was robbed by Casey DeSmith, and that's a very compelling line for me, Mike, with JJ Peterka and Barrett Hayton. You said Peterka with 2 assists, 5th fastest German in NHL history to get to 100 assists. How about Hayton, Mike? 3 goals in his last 7 games. One of them was the game winner empty netter, but it's a guy that seems to get hotter offensively as the season goes on. 19 goals plus in 2 of the last 3 years. Get this, Mike. His goals expected for 60 minutes is second on the team behind Dylan Guenther at 1.14. So they got 2 5-on-5 goals on Saturday, but I'm excited to see, this group staying together, and we get Logan Cooley back, you get Kerfoot back, you have other combos to figure out, but I like it right now. They'll be back together on the contest tonight against Vancouver. 2 5-on-5 goals together, you'll stay together.
You'd have to think so, and just watch Barrett Hayton when his line scores, because odds are he's not standing idly by. Adrian, do you think there's anybody on the team who contributes to as many goals as Barrett Hayton does without getting points on those goals, at least up front as a forward? Like, he didn't get an assist on one of the goals that Yamamoto scored on Saturday, but he drove the net, right? That was the one where Dallas challenged for interference. He had a great screen on a Dylan Guenther power play goal a few games back, right? He's going to the net. He's creating traffic. He's doing a lot of those little things where he's not getting points necessarily, but the coaches are writing a check mark next to his name on that shift.
Yeah, he can win faceoffs, goes net front. It kind of got the power play going before Gunther got hurt on that trip. As you said, the puck that went through his legs, the puck that he slammed home. So excited to see what those guys can do. I'm excited to see as we get to number 4 on a Monday morning power play, Mike, what that fourth line can do. I think we might have a spark on that fourth line, which has not generated much in terms of goals.
No.
Kevin Stenlund has 4 goals. One of them's an empty netter. He had 14 goals last year. He had 11 the year before. Tanev, no goals this year. He had 10 last year. But you put Daniil Boot on that fourth line, who has a 65% expected goals rate that leads NHL rookies. And get this, Mike, he's got a 1.07 expected goals per 60 minutes behind only Gunther, Hayton, and Logan Cooley on the Mammoth. So you've had Yamamoto on that fourth line, but you put the big body in Boot there. Does that spur that fourth line to get a goal or two here?
Yeah, and that fourth line, they were on the ice for the Duchesne goal that Dallas scored to make it 3-1 in the first. But earlier in the first period, they had that awesome shift in the offensive zone, and it was Boot's reach and range, Adrian, that I thought helped create some more turnovers off a heavy forecheck in the Dallas zone. And you could tell the Stars were just kind of in a torture chamber trying to find their way out of their own backyard. But Boot, Inspector Gadget, is like all over the place with that big 6'6" wingspan. Tanev's flying around, hitting everything that moves, and Kevin Stenlund has a great read on the game. He's a big body as well. So yeah, I liked a lot of their game, Adrian. I think when they can kind of get their skis pointed downhill, they can really go. It's just a matter of are they good enough defensively, and can you trust them against another team's top 2 lines, which it ended up burning Utah on Saturday. But yeah, I'm interested with that as well. And like, you just think personnel wise, you think, okay, Daniil Boot, he's skilled, he can make plays, sees the game really well, is pretty good away from the puck. That might be it might be better with him on the fourth line and Yamamoto up with those guys, right? That might be a little bit better kind of configuration in my head. I could see that really optimizing the skills of all those guys.
I think so, because Daniil Boot so far, you've liked what you've seen from him, but with the line combos, it's like, okay, what gets going here? And it's not a typical guy that you're going to play with as a skill player on a middle six, but he will be, and guys will adjust to it on his team. You've seen the NHL look deer in the headlights playing against Daniil Boot, but I like it for now with Tanev and Stenlund, 2 guys you expect to be defensively responsible and be able to handle those situations that you were talking about.
So you took the fourth line. We've been told not to assign numbers to these lines, but they're the fourth line. That's the fourth line.
That's one thing I think we're okay with, Mike, calling him the fourth line. I won't walk into the locker room and start singing about the fourth line, but on Mammoth Daily, I think we're all fine.
I agree. I'm also gonna talk about a line here to wrap up our Monday morning power play, our 5th big storyline. I'm gonna go with the Schmaltz line, the top line, the first line, the captain's line: Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, and Lawson Krause. They have 1 goal between the 3 of them in the last 5 games. And Adrian, ever since Krause missed that Nashville game due to illness, they haven't really produced anything offensively. Now, since that Nashville game, we've seen the emergence of Kailer Yamamoto, right? But we've kind of seen that top line take maybe a step back offensively compared to where they were during Utah's 9-game point streak.
Yeah, and no shots from Clayton Keller on Saturday night. And when he's going, Schmaltz is going, and Krause has been able to assemble with those guys that he's played together for years, but they've never been on the same line. There's been a lot of situations this year, Mike, where the Mammoth don't win a game, and we're looking at it from a standpoint of you didn't get a goal from Schmaltz, Gunther, Peterka, but just to name a few, you have one win this year when you don't get a goal from those three. But I think, we've had games this year like, it was pretty quiet from Kailer and Schmaltz, and the other team's top players got a couple goals. And if we didn't win, we're looking at our top line was a little quiet, as it has been for the last couple of games, but especially on Saturday night.
Yeah, and again, we've seen just 2 home games ago, we saw Kailer and Schmaltz play hero and put on their capes against Philadelphia. Schmaltz has the chase down strip. Kailer has the goal to tie it and the goal in overtime. So it's not all that long ago where we were seeing them taking over games and leading from the front. It's just these last few games that have where they've been a little quiet, and it's tough to win games when your top line isn't scoring goals and your power play isn't scoring goals, AD. And so Mammoth have gotten contributions from guys further down the lineup like Yamamoto, but if you're going to continue to keep pace, stay in the wild card spot, and compete against the best team in the league, you're going to need your best players to score like the best players.
So there you go. Monday Morning Power Play. Top 5 stories entering the week right here on Mammoth Daily. It's a short week, but we'll be with you all week here on the program. Mike, third period coming up. We saw Logan Cooley back on the ice, skating last week on the road. Had some call-ups up and down. Dmitri Simashev came up and then went back down. We'll go over some news and notes from the roster as we roll back. Third period coming up right here on Mammoth Daily. A game night with Vancouver, 7:30 face-off, by the way, folks. So you can stay at work till 5. You don't have to rush out early or anything. You can stay at work the full time. And we'll see you at the Delta Center at 7:30.
This is Mammoth Daily.
All right, back for your third period here on Mammoth Daily. And AD, let's start with Logan Cooley coming back. And he was on the trip with the team when they had that 4-game Southeastern swing on the trip. Would come out at morning skate. And I was at the first morning skate where he was there, Adrian. And it was a cool scene. He came out later into the skate. I believe we were in Tampa Bay when he first made an appearance. And most of the work had already been done. Everybody was kind of doing their own individual stuff, and he comes out late, and everybody stops what they're doing. Bunch of stick taps on the ice as Utah's dynamic centerman returns to the ice with the team for the first time that we had seen, and didn't do much. Just kind of working on figuring some things out. We know that he's been out with lower body injury, but don't know the specifics of it. Kind of testing his weight, it looked like, and just getting a feel for skating again, AD. And good to see him. Good to see him back out there. We saw him in the normal black practice jersey, so not a non-contact jersey. Was still not a full participant in the skate a few mornings ago, but good to see him get that mountain blue non-contact jersey off and skating with the team. Apparently, according to Bear, he's been in the team meetings for the last several weeks, getting reacquainted with at least the X's and O's.
So Bill's timeline has been around the Olympic break, probably coming right out of it. Expect to see Logan back if everything goes as planned. Mike, we had Dmitri Simashev recalled from Tucson on that trip because you went into the game in South Florida on Tuesday with some game time decisions on D, and you had 8D on the trip, or 7D. Oli Mata was the 7th D, but then you brought up Dmitri Simashev to have an 8D because you had a couple game time decisions there. You just wanted to make sure you weren't short on the defensive end. So Simashev, second time this has happened in 2 years. The Roadrunners are in San Diego. Utah is in South Florida, and they fly a guy over the North Pole or over Antarctica to get him there. But Sima was there backing up. He was ready to go. Took warm-ups. Could have gone. Fortunately, Utah didn't have to make any game time decisions there as the D were ready to go. And then after the trip ended, he rejoined the Roadrunners and went back to the AHL.
We had somebody last year fly from San Diego to Miami.
Matt Villalta and Kailer Yamamoto, I believe. Yeah, we switched backup goalies in South Florida after the Tampa Bay game.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Wow. Okay. Same flight plan. That's a tough flight. That's almost as far as it gets, literally coast to coast. But yeah, no game action for Simashev, who continues to play well in Tucson at the AHL level. AHL All-Star as well,
Yes.
as was announced.
Yes.
Going to have that in a couple days in Rockford, Illinois. The AHL All-Star Classic, my old stomping grounds. So it'll be a Screw City themed All-Star game. Screw City, it's because Rockford used to be a industrial plant for they used to make a lot of screws there, so they call it Screw City. A lot of great merch has come out of that. But yeah, no game action for Simashev. Not surprising, AD. And with the way Utah D is played, like, why would you take any of these guys out?
Yeah, it was an emergency call up situation, and when we get Simashev back here, I think the fans are going to be impressed with some of the offensive progress that he's made. 20 points in 25 games with Tucson, and he talked about that, just kind of getting some confidence, getting some time on that power play unit, and 5-on-5 and just moving the puck versus, we talked about how he's played professionally in the KHL, but he was a young guy on a championship team, and that's the solid league. And playing here in the NHL, they're just some more opportunities in the developmental American Hockey League to work on that, which is going to be fun, because watching those games, especially in some 3-on-3 overtime, Mike, Simashev has run the show.
Oh, can't wait for him to come up to Utah as a fully confident, big, rangy defenseman. We know he can skate, but him playing the puck a little bit better was kind of the marching orders for him as he headed down to the AHL to get some more puck touches. Anything else you want to get to, AD, before we wrap things up here on our Monday show?
Mailbag coming up on Tuesday. Get the questions in. We've got some room for some questions. Monday morning seems to be our hot time to get the mailbag questions in. So folks, send those in. Leave the comments in YouTube. You can hit us up on Twitter, on Instagram, however you want to get them to us. You can send us a video message at 801 Adrian Denny on Twitter, at Mike_Folta on Twitter, at 801 Adrian Denny on Instagram, and at Mikey Folta on Instagram. So send in your questions. You can also leave us a 5-star rating on Apple and put your question in the review. So get those questions in for the Tuesday mailbag, and we'll roll through them here. 2 big games left before this Olympic break.
2 big games and 7:30 start time. As you pointed, AD, I had no idea until you mentioned that just now. So I'll get to take like a 30-minute nap or something.
Here's why I know that stuff, Mike, because I need to know when I need to be down in section 6-7 to start the pregame edition of Hockey Night in Utah. So I'm always big on game times, because they're not always the same, right? In the minor leagues, you're playing at 7:00
every night,
unless you're playing at 4:00 on a Sunday, right? But in the NHL, like the TV deals and national windows and stuff like that, sometimes you play at 7:30 and 8. So I started checking just to make sure that I'm not showing up late or early for Hockey Night in Utah when I could be having a second helping of a dessert.
I'm glad someone is paying attention, because my clock, like, I don't know where I need to be or when. I just see you get down to the radio booth like 10 seconds before you need to be on air, and I'm like, oh, it must be 6:00. Or no, let me rephrase that. Oh, it must be an hour until puck drop here. So you begin my countdown right when you step into the booth, because that's typically seconds away from the start of our pregame show. You've ever seen, I'm sure some of our fans have witnessed this, but like, someone will be talking to Adrian and AD, you're too nice. Like, you're too nice because you're talking to somebody. You'll be like looking around like, oh yeah, okay. Welcome to Hockey Night in Utah. And you'll go without any break, straight from a conversation right to like on air, starting the pregame. It's hilarious to watch. I get a kick out of it.
Well, it's just what we do, Mike. It's what we do. Can't miss out on any opportunities to interact with folks who take the time to stop by and see us. And if anybody knows us, they listen to Mammoth Daily. There's just not enough words to get in, so we got to make the most of the time.
That's right. And we hope everybody makes the most of their Monday. Drive safe going to and from the game. If you are at the game, as always, feel free to say hi to us at the top of Section 7. We're on that 6-7 side, as AD likes to say, right behind the Chick-fil-A. Is an easy thing to look for on that main concourse. But it's going to be another great atmosphere tonight at the Delta Center as the Mammoth look to get back in the win column and pick up 2 points against the Vancouver team that's struggled so far this year. It's all about the Mammoth tonight, and it's all about us. We will talk to you later tonight on the radio side of Hockey Night in Utah, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on the Tuesday mailbag edition of Mammoth Daily.